Hello everyone, my name is Protesilaos, also known as Prot. In this video I want to provide you a status update on my last video, which was a public plea for help regarding my search for a job. In that video I explained what my predicament is. I explained that I need a job and the kind of difficulties that I am facing, and I asked for help, any kind of help that people could provide me with. So I want to fill you in on the details. I want to provide the status update to cover what has transpired in the days since that publication. I think it has been about a week, so I have some information to share with you. Before I do that, let me just comment briefly on the visual changes that you are seeing, which is the fact that I shaved my head. There are two problems with this. The first is that I have uneven suntan. So my head has different zones of color, which makes it look kind of funny right now. Of course, this is not a problem because the sun will fix that in a few days, but for the time being, it looks a bit strange. So that's the one thing. The other thing is that my glasses are now wider than my head, so they keep sliding off, they keep falling off, and I have to maintain my head in a certain position, which is kind of unsettling. It's difficult. So if I notice that they keep falling off, I will just take them off and hold them in my hand, which is something I have been doing lately. I have short-sightedness, so I cannot see clearly, but it's still better to just be able to walk than to have this annoyance to think about the whole time. Anyhow, let's go straight to the point. I don't have something concrete to share in terms of a longer term employment prospect. I don't have a specific agreement, a specific position, or something along those lines. What I have is an agreement for a short-term job, which is related to Emacs. I completed the paperwork earlier today, so we are in the process of getting things done. And this job will provide me with immediate relief. So for the next few weeks I will have enough money, and this gives me the stability, the relative stability I need, the modicum of security I need to be able to make decisions without duress, to make decisions without the kind of pressure to get immediate results. Because when you adopt decisions under stress, under pressure, these tend to be bad decisions. These tend to be the kind of decision that you regret the moment after you agree to it, the moment after you adopt it. Because of this short-term job that I now have, I have the freedom to take a step back and to consider my next moves. This is also helped by the fact that I received some donations, which again provide me with this stability over the short term. Of course, these are not sustainable options. Of course, I still need a job. Of course, I still am facing the same problems that prompted the last video. So nothing has changed in that regard, which is why I am still looking for a job. However, because now I have this relative stability, I am not searching for any job. I am allowing myself to be more eclectic, to be more picky, to be more opinionated about what kind of job I will agree to. To be specific, I have decided to start learning the Clojure programming language. This was on my short list together with Common Lisp and Python. Based on the feedback I received from the community and based on my own research, I concluded that Clojure is the best fit for me at this moment in time. It is a good fit because it is a Lisp, so in that sense it is familiar. I am already studying it and I already feel at home. It's very easy to transition from Emacs Lisp to Clojure, so that's a huge plus for me. There is that, and there is also the practical aspect of it, which is that Clojure provides the conduit to at least two worlds, based on what I can understand right now, which are the worlds of Java and JavaScript. And for this reason, it has a lot of longer-term value. So learning Clojure opens up opportunities in a number of fields. So I think even though it is a Lisp, it's not really a niche language. It is a language with a lot of potential, with enough demand for in the labor market. I was thinking about Python, and others also recommended JavaScript and to a lesser extent Ruby, on the premise that those languages are in high demand. They are very, very marketable languages. The problem I discerned, and the reason why I didn't opt for them directly, is that one, this marketability is overstated, and it is overstated because yes, there are lots of entry-level jobs, but once you want to start progressing in your career, you have to specialize anyway. And specialization is something that necessarily diminishes the number of available positions. Okay, so I thought to myself, since I will be specializing anyway, why not specialize at the outset? Why not go with a language that is a specialist's language with Clojure, specialist in relative terms, relative to the others? Why not go directly that route? So this is what I thought. And the other consideration is that I feel that Lisp is better for me. I feel that moving away from Lisp and trying to do things differently will only prove to be detrimental to my efforts. It will only slow me down because I will be trying to relearn programming paradigms from scratch, and I think that's not helpful at this stage where time is of the essence. So I don't want to do that. And there is also the intangible aspect, which is the community. Based on the feedback I received, sorry, I have to take this off because it keeps sliding and I have to keep tilting my head upwards, and it's disturbing me. It's annoying me. Based on the feedback I received, the Clojure community is a very passionate community, which is also the case with Emacs, right? So it's basically the same idea. Emacs is more of a niche tool than, say, VS Code, but when you join the Emacs community, basically everyone is a very interesting person. And I get the feeling that Clojure is a bit like that. Like, yes, it's a smaller community compared to JavaScript, for example, or Python, but the people there are super passionate, at least based on the feedback I received, super passionate and very thoughtful, very considerate, and they care about the qualitative aspects of their tools. Again, based on the feedback I received, okay, I don't know if this is generally true. So they care about the qualities and not just the marketability of things. Of course, they are still business oriented. Of course, they are still practical. I'm not saying that they are just philosophizing about languages, but comparatively, I got the feeling that they care about those aspects of their craft. And for me, this is very important because these are the sort of people I want to work with. The sort of people who are considerate, who put thought into what they are doing, and who have something to teach me beside the practicalities of the job. Something to teach me that has educational and, let's say, intellectual value. So for these reasons, I have decided to opt for Clojure. I am already learning Clojure. I am reading the book Programming Clojure, 3rd edition, by Alex Miller and 2 others whose names I forget, sorry. Someone gifted me this book, so thank you for that. And I am reading it. I understand everything thus far. It's very familiar. It's Lisp. I don't understand the specifics of Java yet, but I think I will get there. I am setting up Emacs to use Clojure mode and Cider, and I will be learning those as well. So there is that. And basically, I am hoping to start experimenting, to start tinkering with code, to start writing my own code within the next few days or weeks. My plan is to write my own toy packages. Maybe they will be useful, I don't know, but anyhow, the intent is for me to learn. So I don't know if they will be useful in general, but even if they are not, they will be useful for me to understand the language in practice. So I will be doing this over the coming days and weeks, parallel to this one job that I agreed to. And my hope is that even though Clojure is not the most marketable language, there is still sufficient demand for it, and I will be able to join this community, and with a bit of work from my side and with a bit of luck perhaps, I will find something that can be relied upon for the medium to long term. So this is it. This is the idea with Clojure. And of course, later we will see. We will see what I will do in a few years, but that's too far away for me to think about right now. Let me cover some more topics then, just to fill you in on the details. I have been receiving lots and lots of emails which provide words of encouragement and also words of advice. Of course, I am very thankful for all those, though note that I have not yet replied to each of them. There are about 70 unread emails in my inbox right now, and I maintain a zero inbox policy, okay? So 70 is too high. I have been replying non-stop, but more emails keep coming in. People reply to my replies, so you know how this works. So there are new emails coming in the whole time. So it will take a long time for me to answer to everybody. But I will do it. If you have not heard from me yet, please expect a reply. Please be patient. These are exceptional circumstances. Otherwise, I always reply within a day. But please bear with me. I will get there. The advice I have received was about languages, and it has informed my decision to opt for Clojure. So no need to elaborate on that anymore. The other piece of advice was about the CV. And it was clear that what I stated in my previous video was wrong. To recapitulate, I said that my CV was underwhelming because I have no relevant formal qualifications, and the ones I have are very old, they are outdated. So basically I had nothing to show for almost 10 years. People explained that, at least in the tech industry, formal qualifications are not as important. So I can cite my informal work. I can cite publications on my website or free software projects that I contribute to or maintain, etc. So there is something for me to show, which is great. So I will be updating my CV accordingly and maintaining a CV along those lines. A CV that basically is an about me page that describes what you can already find on my website. This is what I have, this is what you will find on the CV. What can we do? What I stated though is not false. It's not a falsehood per se. Because in my previous life, let's call it that way, when I was working with politics and that sort of career, only formal qualifications mattered. The others, for example, essays that I publish on my website, would be relegated to a hobbies section, if you would mention them at all. Because depending on what you are applying for, you don't want to appear like you have an opinion. For example, if you are applying for a diplomat's role, having an opinion is generally not a good idea. It's generally discouraged. Diplomats have opinions, but they pretend otherwise. Anyway, the point is that I used to apply for various positions. I used to apply for jobs, I used to apply for scholarships, because I wanted to be an academic at some point. And all my applications, bar none, were dismissed at the outset. And the few times I tried to contact a human, they would just reiterate that the stipulation that you have to have those certifications, those formal qualifications. For example, there was the requirement for English skills, English language skills, like writing, speaking. And I was like, okay, great. I have hundreds of articles to showcase. At least one of them will be good enough to at least prove that I am not a fraud. I am not saying that my English is perfect, but it is at least better than whatever kind of average, okay? So this was my thinking, but the results would always prove otherwise, would always tell me that no, my publications do not count. This is why I was under the impression that my CV would be basically empty. But thank you for explaining how the tech industry works. Of course, even in the tech industry, formal qualifications still matter. It's not that they are completely irrelevant, but they have less weight. So that's at least promising. However, what I stated, the salient point that I made remains the same. I still rely on the human factor. I still rely on finding the kind of person who will look past the superficialities, past the appearances, past the formalities, and who will see the potential that I have, if I have, or whatever. So if I am doing some kind of work that is valuable, this employer will see the value in that work regardless of formalities. This is my hope. Because if I still have to rely on the CV passing some kind of automated screening or whatever, it will still be extremely difficult. So I am still dependent on the human factor. I still trust that somewhere, somehow, there will be a person at the other end. So this is my hope. Other topics. A few people wanted to host me at their place. They were offering me a room or one of the buildings that they own, one of the premises that they have, and they were willing to pay, let's say, 2 months of my stay there. That's wonderful in general, but I cannot accept such offers because of the high risk they entail. Say that I come to your country, whose language I do not speak, and I stay there for 2 months. And within those 2 months, I have nothing to show for. I have not found a job, I still don't know the local tongue, and basically I am stranded in the middle of nowhere. Do you keep paying for my expenses? Do you keep hosting me there? Do you keep me around? Or do you kick me out? Well, how does it work? My point is that it is very risky. It is very risky for me. It puts me in an extremely precarious situation, and it's also difficult for you because it puts you also in a tough spot. You will have to make tough decisions, difficult decisions. Also on the financial side, but in moral terms as well. So it's not nice. So I don't want to do that. I cannot accept that. Same principle for loans. Some people offered me large sums of money in the form of a loan, which of course would be very helpful. If I had that money, that would be absolutely great. But I cannot accept it because it is again not tied to a specific job. So if I don't have a job, there is absolutely no way I can service that debt. You will not see that money back. And if I am trying to make decisions on the basis of servicing the debt, that means that I will make bad decisions. Again, we return to the point of decisions taken under duress, under the pressure to perform, the pressure to find a source of income right here and right now. And this source of income will have to be able to pay off the debt and also sustain me. So it has to be a good job, basically. But how can I get a good job when I am under all this pressure and I also need to learn new skills, blah, blah, blah. The point is that it won't work. It won't work, so I cannot accept it, even though I acknowledge the willingness you have to help me. So for that I am thankful, but you have to understand that this is not an easy decision. What else? I'm trying to think if there is something else. I think I have covered everything. So if I forgot something, I will explain it next time. But I think I have covered everything. The point is that I have something to work on now. This job I have that I completed the paperwork for, and I am learning Clojure, and we hope for the best. I hope for the best. I hope that something will come out of this, and that something will be good. It will be worth it for the foreseeable future. Some final words. Last point. In my original publication, where I mentioned this topic, where I need a job, I stated my willingness to do any kind of job. And I provided a list of examples, a non-exhaustive list. And among those were manual labor, like construction, farming, bartending, the sort of jobs that I have been doing for years. So, some people commented on that specific point. Their intent was to provide words of encouragement and to lift my spirits. So they would say something along the lines of, hey Prot, it's fine to do bartending, but I think you are too smart for it. So better go with something else. Thank you for that. Thank you for thinking that way. However, there is a general point here, not to argue with you, but a general point that is worthy of a philosophical entry. I might do another video at some other point, but not now due to the exceptional circumstances. And that is to not judge people on the basis of their status, on the basis of their appearances, on the basis of their income, and so on. Because sometimes we find ourselves in situations that are beyond our control. We do not control all the factors that inform the specifics of our life. Crises are of a systemic sort. For example, what is happening in the economy. It is not a matter of me trying my best to change the economy. That's not how it works. This is a systemic problem. This is a global phenomenon. The point is that there are lots of scenarios, lots of phenomena where the individual is not in control. And what happens to the person happens despite their best efforts, despite what they want. So sometimes, that person who is standing behind the bar, that person who prepares drinks for you with a smile on their face, that person who does not talk much, who does not participate in your conversations, even though that person may actually know something about what you are talking about. That person who is just there to serve a drink. That person may be the smartest person you will ever meet in your life. Sometimes. The point is not to judge. Don't pretend that you know more than you actually do. Don't pretend that the appearances tell you all there is to it. That what you see is what you always get. It doesn't work that way. Acknowledge your ignorance. Admit that, no, I don't know who this person is. I don't know how this person ended up in this situation. And if I knew, maybe I would think differently. Adopting that dubitative view, that inquisitive view of wanting to learn more, maintaining this open-mindedness will help you be more helpful to those people, and also more compassionate of their situation. And if we all do this, we will be in a better world, in a world where the human factor is always relevant. A world that, to relate it back to the CV, where this idea that the formalities are the only thing that matters will be silly. This idea that only status matters will just be inconceivable. It will be preposterous. So, that's all for today, folks. Again, I am not arguing against you. I understand what you were saying, but I have to also philosophize. What can I do? So, thank you very much for your attention, folks. I will keep you posted on my progress, but this provides you enough information for the immediate future and for my next steps. So, goodbye for now. Take care. I need to find the button. Bye-bye.